Welcome back. I'm still with Talk's international editor Isabel Oakeshott. Just by way of a bit of information for you, Isabel, our switchboard is on fire after our story from Wisbech, that extraordinary story of what happened in that GP's surgery where some foreign guy who couldn't speak English, nobody was told that, but we now know that's the case, slit his throat and had to be taken to hospital. So a lot of people responding to that. I tell you, around the country, people are getting more and more worried about the migrant crisis and what they're not being told. We know we're being kept in the dark. This is no way for the authorities to deal with this, to pretend that we're just all idiots. Don't tell them, then it'll be okay. No, it won't. We better switch to The Hague, though. Little Keir bestriding the world stage. Did you see the picture of all the leaders? He's like about... Look, hang on. Where is he? He's like right. He's a sort of second to the back row. You can see him. You see the lady with the yellow thing. If you just go diagonally about 2 rows back, you can just see.
Oh, I see him. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's about where we are in the pecking order, I would suggest. Now, the point about this, we learn as he's there that we have bought a squadron of 12 nuclear-capable jet fighters from America, which doubtless is part of our trade agreement. In order to get the deal, we had to agree to buy these very expensive jets. I gather they're certainly not the cream of the crop. We could have got better jets, but we're stuck with the American ones because of our trade agreement. But what struck me about this is old Donald Trump is striding around saying, oh, CNN, New York Times didn't tell the truth about our raids on Iran. You've got Keir Starmer there saying, oh, the president, very bad, really worried about the nuclear threat from Iran. The president took action and the world say, but he still will not say whether or not Britain supports what Donald Trump and America did last weekend when they flew in with Israel to target Iran's nuclear facilities. Brilliant mission. Britain still officially does not support that. And I think that's an absolute disgrace. It's his governmental duty to tell us, the people, where Britain stands. Who does Britain support here? I mean, it's an outrage, isn't it?
It's so feeble and cowardly, and it is because Labour is worried about losing more of its own voters who are basically kind of completely ignorant peaceniks and are just angry at the thought of anyone ever taking any kind of decisive action in a situation like this. And he's worried about hemorrhaging that support to the increasingly alarming bunch of radicals are running as independents up and down the country and already took a number of Labour seats at the last election. I mean, what strikes me looking at the picture, apart from our subordination, in the world to somewhere at the back of the lineup of the family photo that you've shown, is just how unhappy Keir Starmer looks. He really has aged, I think, in the last year. And of course, High Office does that. Of course, it's a hell of a grueling job physically, but he just looks crushed, don't you think?
Yes, I do. And his stance in terms of... Yeah, I do. I think he's assailed from all sides, and I think it's really beginning to take an effect. I think he does think he's being besieged by his own personal political apocalypse. And the fact that he can't say, we support America, we support Donald Trump in what he did with Iran, displays the most extraordinary moral cowardice. I mean, yes, you know what he's talking about. He's talking about the peaceniks in the Labour Party, doesn't want to offend them. He's also, of course, talking about that factor which basically dictates so much of British foreign policy. That is the 1.5 million Muslim votes he's going to rely on at the next election. By siding with America against Muslim Iran, he fears he will alienate the British Muslim vote. That is what's dictating our foreign policy. That's why we've been alienated by America, by Israel, where our Prime Minister, the Prime Minister of this country, clearly last weekend didn't have the faintest clue what was going on. He was cut out of the circle of intelligence, and that is worrying and humiliating for this once great country.
And it's not going to change. You know, the Labour lot are terrified of what's happening in the polls, and their answer to this is not to address the fundamental reason, which in my view and according to most of the research is to do with immigration and particularly the small boats. It's to keep sort of bending the knee to those on the hard left on whose votes they are dependent. It's not going to rescue them. It really is not going to rescue them. You know, unless they deal with this immigration crisis that is engulfing our country, then they're going to lose the next election.
They certainly are. A quick word about Donald Trump. He arrived at the summit in The Hague furious because CNN and New York Times has reported that the nuclear raid on Iran hadn't really inflicted too much damage. Only a couple of months back worth, has set Iran back a couple of months. Subsequent to that, of course, he was shouting fake news, fake news, fake news. Subsequent to that, to be fair, Iran did concede that considerable damage has been done. Now, we've seen the pictures. As Caroline Levitt said, the White House press secretary, when you drop 14 30,000-ton bombs on precise targets, it will tend to do quite a lot of damage. Yeah. I think Trump is right. I think the White House is right. I think they did do tremendous damage, but it's very telling that the two outlets, the two media outlets that said no, 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 didn't do any damage at all, were, of course, the left-wing New York Times and the left-wing CNN.
Well, what do they actually want? You know, do they want more damage to be done, which means more war, or are they actually gleeful that no damage in their mind or minimal damage has been done, which means that Iran still has the capability of producing a nuclear weapon? It just seems to me that these outlets just want to be negative at any cost. I think the far more important story actually out of today was the commitment of the NATO member states to pay 5% of GDP. I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, by the way, no chance. I mean, that is a very, very substantial hike, but it certainly represents a dramatic increase in the existing situation, and just cast back to Trump's last administration, where people were saying, oh, well, Trump's actually going to just destroy NATO. He's going to dismantle NATO. Yeah. There was real suggestion that he might do that. How the world has changed in pretty short periods of time. Absolutely. Where he's now saying this is vital, folks. Yeah, and Zelensky, though, pouring scorn on Britain's commitment. Starmer saying, yes, well, 5% by 2035. Well, you won't be around then, mate. And Zelensky saying that's way too slow. You need to do it by 2030. So all up in the air. Excellent work. Thank you so much. Wonderful to talk to you, Isabel. And thank you very much for the whiz-bet story. We will talk again next week. Isabel Oakeshott there, Talk's fabulous international editor.